For breakfast?
It is nuts. I'd like to call to order the caucus meeting on October 7, 2019. Notice requirements provided in the Open Publics Meeting Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given in the new schedule of meetings of the Spotswood Borough Council on December 20th, 2018. The new schedule was transmitted to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel. It was filed with the clerk of the Borough of Spotswood and posted in the municipal building located at 77 Summerhill Road, Spotswood, New Jersey.
Councilman Ritchie? Councilman Rivera?
Here.
Councilman Malillo?
Here.
Councilman Kramer?
Here.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Here.
Mayor Sealy?
Here.
At this time, I'll ask Bruce to do the engineer's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. The first item on my update is the DOT trust fund application. Nothing has changed there. It's just a list of roads that we've applied for. I would hope in the next month or so that we would hear from the DOT, all the towns would hear from the DOT. But I added a second item there because last week I ran into a PSE&G representative and I was asking them about the status of their work in Spotswood. They indicated to me that some things had changed and now they're going to add a number of other roads to the work that they'd like to do. So if you look at I have a plan, actually it's a spreadsheet that they provided, and then behind that I have a plan that I just did quickly today. The pink highlight are roads that, it's a combination of roads that are going to be paved, such as the section of Brunswick and the section of Adirondack, the Cottage Street areas, but then it also highlights the roads that we referenced just a moment ago that were part of the DOT trust fund application. In yellow, I've highlighted the roads that PSE&G proposes to come in and work on. They've asked to have a meeting. I told them that would be fine, but I told them for this meeting, I thought I should bring this information to the governing body just so you're aware of it. We'll wait, I suppose, to see what the grant amount is and which roads you decide to do with the DOT money, and then sort out with PSE&G, what they pave, what we pave perhaps. But I just wanted to make you aware of it. I don't think there's any action we have to take now, but with your permission, then I'll meet with PSE&G in the weeks ahead when they contact me to go over this, and then I'll get you more information. But they're planning to continue the work. They are planning to do this work as a continuation of their present work, and weather permitting, do main work replacing mains right through the winter as weather allows. So that's just a heads up on that, but like I said, I just found out about it. I thought I would share it.
And just so I'm clear, I know I asked you this before, Public Service is only going to repave the half that they dig up, correct? They're not repaving the whole street? It's within our...
Unless it's governed by our moratorium, which is 3 years. Interestingly, they do have a section of Mady on there, which I was really certain that I watched them doing before we paved it. I did not highlight that because it's a question that I have. I think it might just be a mistake on their part. Pardon me. But yes, if we have a moratorium, if it's within 3 years, they pave curb to curb. If not, they generally do half of the road.
Okay.
So then moving on through the Cottage Street area improvements, the contractors had his surveyor out there putting the control in. We contacted JCP&L and Verizon to schedule a field meeting. We've been in touch with them regularly, but they told us as soon as there was control out there and we could show them where the curb line would be, they could start scheduling their work to move or set new utility poles or kick the ones that they can, and then be working on that. The contractor plans to mobilize equipment and materials next week and begin work the following week. I've been in constant discussions with the contractor about doing this progressively and not tearing up the whole neighborhood. I will do my best to govern that, because if we have a hard winter, then people will be dealing with that, and I would like to limit that. So he's acknowledged that, but I will keep on top of it, is all I can say. The improvements to Brunswick Avenue and Karen Street drainage improvements, we sent everything to the DOT for review because Brunswick Avenue is funded by the DOT. They had some minor comments. We've made those corrections and are resubmitting to them. Once they approve it, we can go out to bid, but I'm thinking I'm reluctant to go out to bid right now, so I'm turning to the governing body for guidance. I'd like to sit on it for a month and maybe do it like the beginning of November or so it's clear that it's not work for this year, get a better price, because usually the work that they'll start off in the spring. And again, I don't think we want anybody out there doing work in the middle of the winter and then have a problem with people being able to navigate the road. So I'm looking for your guidance on that. We don't have to decide tonight, but it was just something that I was thinking of.
Any council members want to comments for Bruce or questions or have any input on waiting? Go back to him?
We are still working.
Right.
I've spoken with Mr. Dignan. The people are contacting him regarding the easements. He's probably more than halfway through the count, but there's still a little more work to get those rolled up as well.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Bruce? No?
Okay, so we can talk about it at the future meetings, and
I
then,
do have a question.
yes,
I got a letter today from the state about the grant money we received for Brunswick Avenue.
yes,
It will be allocated or at least bid by February, right?
yes,
Because February is the cutoff date and we'll lose the money.
yes, yes.
Okay.
They send the letter, but then they also are reviewing the plan. Sometimes, I think it's different departments, and they're not in
without a
touch
doubt.
with each other, but yes.
Okay, just want to be sure.
Yep. That's why I thought a month, put it out for a month, and then award it. And then Adirondack Avenue, no change in that other than we have scheduled our survey crews to get out there and do their survey work, which will be the basis of our design. So that is my report as it relates to that. Mr. Mayor, I have some stuff on DeVoe Lake. Would you like me to do that now or later in the meeting, or
I think now's good, right?
I'm fine with it.
Now's good.
do you want to open the discussion and then I'll show the plan, or do you want me to?
You know what? Excuse me one sec. Ted brings up a good point. Let's do it during a regular meeting so it's on a recording.
Okay,
Okay, sure.
fine.
All right? You got that.
So any questions on what's on the update?
No?
Okay,
Anyone else?
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. We have a few ordinances. Ordinance 2019-11 on first public reading. Public hearing will be October 21st, 2019. Bond ordinance 2019-11, bond ordinance providing for various improvements to the George Street Water Treatment Plant, appropriating $1,930,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,923,000 bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof authorized in and by the Borough of Spotswood in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey. Ordinance 2019-12 on first public reading. Public hearing will be October 21st, 2019. Ordinance 2019-12, an ordinance of the Borough of Spotswood, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending a portion of Chapter 134 mobile home parks. We have resolutions under consent agenda. Copies of the resolutions under consent agenda are available for perusal only on the table. Anyone desiring a copy may contact the clerk after the meeting. 2019-127, the Borough of Spotswood are hereby authorized and directed to enter into an agreement with Pitney Bowes Incorporated to lease a digital mailing system, Pro P1000 series mailing system, for a period of 60 months at a cost of $328.91 per month, or quarterly at $986.73. 2019-128, Spotswood Borough Council authorizes approval of donations to the Spotswood High School Wrestling and Spotswood High School Cheerleading in a total amount of $2,908 from the Recreation Commission for the 5K race that took place on September 14th, 2019. 2019-129, Borough Council authorizes the CFO to refund Catherine Decker a sum of $100 for duplicate payment of social event permit. 2019-130, Borough Council authorizes the CFO to release the balance of escrow in the amount of $10,276.50 to Living World Chapel located at 73 DeVoe Ave, Spotswood, New Jersey. 2019-131, the Chief Financial Officer is authorized to execute an administrative service agreement with Lincoln Retirement Services, LLC. 2019-132, Mayor and Borough Clerk are authorized to renew the interlocal service agreement with the County of Middlesex for the purpose of borough obtaining public health service from the County of Middlesex for the years January 1st, 2020, with a yearly rate of $33,964.04, and 2021 with a yearly rate of $34,643.34. 2019-133, Borough of Spotswood support the execution of shared service, the exploration of shared service agreement with the Borough of Helmetta for municipal court shared service. 2019-134, amend resolution authorizing disposal of surplus property for the Borough of Spotswood. 2019-135, resolution authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute stipulations of settlement with Hometown Clearwater Village on behalf of the Borough of Spotswood. 2019-136, payment of bills. Any questions or comments from council? Okay. Take a motion to open to the public.
Make a motion, we open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. At this public portion, you can ask questions or comments on the resolutions and ordinances. If you have any new business, you can be heard at the regular meeting immediately following. Good afternoon. Here, your evening, Dulce.
Hi. On the bills list, the first two items are for 2018. Why did it take so long for these to show up? They're almost
Mayor,
a year
would you
old.
have to know?
I'd have to find out why, but that's not the first time. We constantly have bills that are paid way late. They may have been billed late, there may have been a catch with the problem.
Almost a year.
Excuse me, can I speak in the mic now? I said, I'll have to look into it because I don't know if there's a problem with what they paid later, was the bill changed, whatever the situation may be, but
I would think it's strange because it's almost a year old, and that, I know I can't wait a year to pay my bills. And then the next three are from January, which is kind of weird, because they're all monthly charges. So why would a monthly charge be 8 months late? We pay them every month.
again, I'll have to find out why. I'll have to ask the CFO the question.
Okay. Can you explain all of the trash collection reimbursements? Maybe they've been there before, but I've never seen them, and that's almost $10,000.
It's
been there.
something we've done in the past, but Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, they've been there since April 1st, 1984.
So what are they?
What they are is, we do not, according up to ordinance, do not pick up dumpsters for anything that is not publicly owned. This relieves us of the liability of whatever they may throw in a dumpster, whether it be explosive, flammable, whatever the case may be. Well, the state passed a state statute law that states that they can do that, go to a private hauler, but we have to reimburse them. But they have to provide us with an actual bill from that hauler, and that's what that is.
And you know the next question. In June, you said that was it. Or was it May? And now there's two more charges, another $400.
these two charges were the ones that we pulled in the past. And he hasn't been doing them because they haven't been posted.
But since when? This is June and July, and I'm pretty sure like it was either May or June, you said that the bills that we paid that month were going to be the last ones.
Well, and then he did a couple more meetings after that. Because,
Why?
Because I wanted them to be posted online, because we didn't have anything set up in the meantime.
But Andrew was going to do it.
Andrew doesn't have the equipment
Steven
to do
offered to
it.
do it for
and
free. He posts them online 3 days after the meeting.
Andrew didn't have the equipment to do it, and he looked into it.
Steven does.
Let me finish, please. So going forward, we were able to get done what I believe was your idea, which was a good idea, that Kate, our webmaster, is taking care of it. And I spoke to her today, and she's hoping to have the last 3 meetings on the website by the end of the week. So it's not going to have a charge to it, and she is taking care of it going forward.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We now paid him more to do stuff that you could have paid a high school junior to do for $50. We've paid him probably about $2,000 at this point, which is more than he would have made as a councilman. It's ridiculous.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Get paid more than you, Charlie, you're in the wrong job. Yeah, really.
Cheryl Bass, 289 Main Street, on the Resolution 2019-127, the one with the digital mailing system. This, I take it, is just on equipment, that this would be the latest technology with equipment. And I don't think it's replacing anybody's job. It's just replacing equipment, bringing it up to the newest technology.
That's correct. Mr. Mayor, do you have any? Yes, right? Yes.
Yeah, because
that is
the
correct.
old one sounds like
It's obsolete, and this is
discontinued.
the-
It's
yes.
obsolete. It's obsolete. Does this increase our costs, or does this decrease our costs? Because I don't know what the old system used to cost. Because I think the amount is a reasonable amount, but I don't know what the previous costs were.
I don't believe I have that in front of me right now, Cheryl.
Oh, okay, something to look up.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I don't have that number in front of me, Cheryl. I can find out for you if you'd like.
Yeah, sometimes new technology becomes more expensive than what the old system used to be, and when you have to replace what's discontinued, sometimes it adds to your costs. But the amount seems, does seem reasonable. And on the bond ordinance 2019-11, this is on the George Street Water Treatment Plant. This also seems like a reasonable number. It's close to $2 million. I would imagine that behind these bonds, with the improvements to George Street water treatment, that there will be coming other improvements, that will be other bond ordinances, that this is just part of an overall plan in upgrading the George Street water treatment. Would I be correct in that assumption? That it's part of an overall plan, that right now we need $2 million in bonds, and then as time rolls on, we'll be working on other things on the water system.
As we stated a few years ago, it was going to cost money to stay in the water business.
Yeah.
And yes, there may be other bonds, but not right away.
Right, no, okay.
Probably for another year.
Okay. And the third item I have on Resolution 2019-131. This is with deferred compensation. Can you describe for us what is involved with this? I'm assuming it's with a retirement plan for public employees, and why I am concerned with this is because I don't think that there is adequate funding for retirement plans in the overall state of New Jersey, not just little old Spotswood, but in the whole state.
I wish that I can do something in Spotswood to fix it for the whole state, Cheryl, but that's not.
Right. What does this deferred compensation plan entail? Can you describe it? Because this is all legalese. It's, it sounds all very legal to me, and it doesn't describe what is going to happen with the plan. How is money going to be funded in the plan? How are people going to receive deferred compensation? Is it just to make taxes different? Because when you defer monies, the year that you're deferring it, the taxes are lower because the amount of money is not there. But when you take out the money, when you're credited with the money, then the taxes go up. on what the employee is receiving in way of income. So, is it just to make the taxes look good, or why I'm asking? You take a stock like General Electric.
Well, hang on one second before you go any further, Cheryl. This resolution is to re-up the agreement with Lincoln Financial to work, to give the retirement plans and everything to the borough employees and municipal employees that are eligible for it. If you want the information that you're asking for, I'd have to get it for you. I don't have that.
Yeah, I would like a better description.
So I could definitely call somebody and get you that information. This is just to sign the agreement to work with them again. They've been with us in the past, and this is to re-sign up with them.
Oh, okay, because I would like a better description, because it looks like creative accounting, that you're looking to show less monies one year and then higher monies another year. When it's a deferred amount, that makes the overall total monies less when you're deferring part of the money. Okay.
The money they're paying the company is to administer the plan. The employees either participate or they don't. The employees can set aside a specific amount pre-tax that they can put in there. They can't get the money until they're 59 and a half years old. It's the same as most retirement plans. It's a public employee thing. I had it when I worked for when I was in public service. It's, you decide how much you're going to put into this thing. You can put in $100 a paycheck, you can put in $600 a paycheck. It's whatever you want to put into your account. It's invested. You decide how it'll be invested. They give you several options. You choose among the options. So the company is just administering the program, but it's not costing the town anything. This isn't a 401 where the town matches it.
So this is not a retirement plan that is not underfunded.
Employees are still either in police and fire, or they're in PERS, or whatever union they may be in, the teachers. But this is something they do in addition to that. So if you want to
In addition.
put some extra money
Yeah, right.
so that you can have a little extra when you're older, you do that.
Okay. And now I'll finish up by telling you what I wanted to say about General Electric. That one was once a high-flying stock.
Just make it quick.
I'm going to make it quick. They have had, with their employees in their retirement plan, that the plan was not funded. And a lot of retirees from General Electric are looking for their money. General Electric today, which is very low in price, the stock, very low in price, they are trying to make a settlement with the retired employees because the retirement plan was not funded.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Good evening, Jackie Palmer. Quick question on the trash collection reimbursement. What's the cadence that we have on that billing? Is that an annual? Is it quarterly? Is it monthly?
It's annual.
Okay, because we just paid, so the reason I'm asking is because I went back, because I thought the same thing. I don't ever recall saying it, but I saw that we did pay in February? No, March, on the bill list in March. It was for the end of the year. So I'm just curious why we're paying them now in September if the billing is annual.
Jackie, I'm not sure. I got to look to see if it's annual or not. I got to just.
Right, so what we have, these are billed for September. I can tell you if you go back into the March bill list, they were dated, I want to say 26th, 28th of December.
So in March, December bills?
This March.
March of
on the bill
19.
list of 19.
December.
They were dated December 26th, 28th, something like that.
Okay.
So, which means they hit our billing twice this year. So I just want to call that out because we need to pay attention to things like that. And my second question, Bruce, I'm sorry, can you just clarify for me again the work on the Brunswick Avenue? Because I was speaking to some residents there and they were questioning what's going on.
Sure.
They thought things were going to happen in the spring and it's So I thought I heard you say
Yes.
that it's tied up with the DOT funding at this
Well,
point.
we do have DOT funding, and we're on the verge of getting approval from them to go out to bid. As the mayor pointed out, we should award it before that expiration date, but that won't be a problem. We'll put it out to bid for a month. I just didn't want a contractor picking it up thinking they were going to start it now and, make a mess over the winter. But we have DOT funding. It's from the Snow Hill Street intersection up to 2nd Avenue. Included in the project are some additional patches or sections of sidewalk on the northern end as you approach Old Stage Road. And we are also rolling in the Karen Street improvements, which was another project that we had bid once before, and the borough chose not to award, but that is lumped into it, to some drainage improvements up in that area of the borough.
Okay. So we're thinking maybe starting work this spring, upcoming?
Yes,
2020?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Steve Ronco. So we asked for, have we applied for DOT grants for that work?
Are you referring to Brunswick Avenue, Steve?
For any DOT grants?
Every year.
So we applied for them?
And we received it for Brunswick, we received it for Adirondack, and currently there is an application, and maybe in the next month, generally in the next month or so, the announcements should be made by the DOT in the form of a letter to the mayor.
Oh, okay, so we do get correspondence, because I asked for any grants that we applied for and that we received, and I received a response saying that we have no idea. My request was vague. I asked for all grants. There were all applications for grants. You're telling me there's one every year, and then I asked for any responses back, and you're saying that there's a letter, there's correspondence. I get back a letter saying there's nothing. Can we explain that?
I can't right now without looking into it, Steve, but I think this should be for new business at the next meeting. If you
Well,
have,
no, you're talking about DOT.
well, if you have a specific question on these resolutions or these ordinances,
Well, he just spoke about DOT grants during the beginning, correct?
right, but these specific, I believe that should be new business, if you ask me.
Oh, okay, then I'll be back.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Colleen Ronco. I do have a question. Last month, when we brought up the George Street water station, the pumping station, it was at almost $2.1 million. Now it's down, did I hear correctly, Led, around 1.9?
It is 1923.
Okay. What was the
9.3.
difference in the
Mr. Mayor. Bruce?
difference between last month and this month with the,
Smaller soft costs.
okay.
We deducted some off the soft costs.
Now, is that all the money that we're going to need for George
I
Street?
have some answers for your last questions you had at the last meeting.
Okay,
You asked about the FEMA money,
right.
okay?
Excuse- Not to,
Oh,
not
you want
interrupt.
to do it?
Only so it's
Yeah,
on
no, that's
on
fine.
tape,
I have
Colleen,
no
if you don't
problem.
mind. I'm
No.
sorry.
Answers I read.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Colleen. I just want to make sure it's on tape. Thank you.
Sorry, Councilman.
No, I just want to make sure that,
Jim Wallace, Cottage Streets. I get the neighbors asking me, are we going to be sending some letters out? What's going on over there?
Yes, sir, we hand out letters. We usually do it a few days in advance so that people know, but we will,
Because they're
my
curious,
office
you know,
will.
They were
Yes.
talking in the street, looking
Sure.
at the lines.
Oh,
and-
yep, the survey work is being laid out, and we'll have a couple
Yeah, I
meetings
know.
in the next week or so. But yes, absolutely, there will be notices handed out. We do it on the road projects.
All right, thank you.
But thank you for asking.
anyone else?
Edward Schmidt, 395 Old Stage Road. My question deals with the resolution 219-132, that money from the county, that's for public screenings and stuff like that? It covers 2020, 2021?
That's the Public Health Service.
Yeah, but that's used for public screenings and stuff like that, you know, to...
That's for, go ahead.
That's our health.
Right, Health Department.
Right, that's what I'm saying, right.
Yeah, so
What
that's
they
part
use
of
to-
it.
Right, okay,
Our
very
health
good.
inspector and,
Okay,
yeah.
right, and I'm assuming they do things like public screening and stuff like that within the health department.
Within that program, I'm
Right,
sure they
right,
do, yes.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Make a motion to close the public portion?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Just give us a moment and we'll go right into our regular meeting.
Before you read the ordinance, I'm going to let Bruce do the report on it. Right, just so you know what I'm going to throw that in there.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. I didn't think about it. Which one of these am I reading? I had the stillbirth one. Before I... You get a copy of your proclamations?
Proclamations, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I'm reading. I just can't find my copy. Thank you.
Just make sure I can still find mine.
I got mine. Yeah. I handed my other ones out to everybody, so. I'd like to call a regular meeting of October 7, 2019 to order. The notice requirements provided in Open Publics Meeting Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given in the new schedule of meetings of the Spotswood Borough Council on December 20th, 2018. The new schedule was transmitted to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel. It was filed with the clerk of the Borough of Spotswood and posted in the municipal building located at 77 Summerhill Road, Spotswood, New Jersey. We're going to have a salute to the flag, but before we do, I'd like to just ask everyone to have a moment of silence for Patricia Mead. I believe many of us know her from town. She was involved in a lot of organizations, so I'd like to everybody keep her in our prayers. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Councilman Ritchie?
Here.
Councilman Rivera?
Here.
Councilman Malillo?
Here.
Councilman Kramer?
Here.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Here.
Mayor Sealy?
Here.
So before we go into the ordinances and resolutions, Bruce, I'd like you to go over a report for DeVoe now, please.
Yes. Does everybody have a copy of the map?
Yes.
Mayor, did you want to speak to it, or?
If I might for 1 minute.
Sure, please, about the meeting and such, yeah.
They not here? No? Hello? Gotta get a better mic here. Shortly, a little while ago, myself, Bruce, Councilman Rivera, and Senator Greenstein sat down with the DEP to find out what's going on with the money, because we were getting kind of tired of stall tactics, and as I told you before, they had told us they wanted us to find out with a way we're going to come up with the rest of the money to do the project. Well, when we got to the next meeting, what a completely different tone. It turns out that we were given a lot of misinformation by the last crew, and currently we are allowed to use the money, and we're going to start the money with the project and start doing a section and work our way through the sections, which Bruce is going to describe a little better. Obviously, we're going to start at the lakeside first. It's for the public's use, and work our way back. $2.5 million doesn't get you far, but it does get you pretty far when you think about it in distance. It's almost, I believe, 30,000 cubic yards of
Yes, sir.
material will be coming out of the lake. Turns out we get the money. We just have to turn in the receipts just like we do. While we were there, they also set us up with, or set me up with Green Acres to sit down with them, because Green Acres also has funding for the lake. They give me avenues to go through to get that money. And another great part was, as you know, most of you know, if you live in that area, the streams, how they're cluttered with trees and broken branches and whatnot. Well, ironically enough, they have a program that does that where they do all the work. And they have somebody looking into that right now as well. So yeah, it's a couple-year project without a doubt, but hopefully within the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to see a nice lake when it's all done. We are working with progress. Now, please, take over, Bruce.
Thank you. So, as the mayor indicated, we have the $2.5 million to spend at this time. So I submitted a proposal just to outline some of the services, but more importantly, I think, is the map. And that just shows the area. The blue is the area of the lake. I have extra copies, Mr. Mayor. It's not, there's only like 9 here, but if the public wants to share them.
I'm going to get one. You can share.
Here.
Somebody can have mine too.
I'm gonna use yours.
Oh, you're gonna use
Yeah,
mine?
we're gonna share.
I'm going to take them all.
It's a little better to explain it, they can see it.
So I'll give everybody a minute to circulate them.
You got Charlie. Well, should I sleep with it under my pillow?
Now I'm blushing.
Of course he does. Because I live on the water. Here, you should have waterfront property.
So as the mayor said, we only have partial funding. There's about 100, well, back when we applied for the permit 7 years ago, based on the bathymetry we did, we came up with an estimate of 140,000 cubic yards. At this point, I've spoken to a contractor, I've looked at different costs associated with it. Taking the soil to a facility that treats it, we could probably do about 30,000 cubic yards if we were able to get the landfill to take it at a reduced cost than we would pay to be able to have it treated elsewhere. We might be able to do a little bit more. That's an avenue that the borough could consider looking into. So this map that we put together along the beachfront, or what I'll refer to as the beachfront along DeVoe Avenue, the kind of grayish blue area would be if we excavate, or if the contractor excavated down to the depth, stepping it down, but down to the depth of 8 feet, which is what was originally proposed. If we were to reduce that to 6 feet, could go further out into the lake to cover more area. That's a decision the governing body can think about. I'd also like to see, if we had the money, if we can do some of the work that's in kind of that lime green colored area, which is wetlands that we can remove. And the reason I think that's valuable is because some water does break out around the island, but if we could get more water coming in to the main body along DeVoe Avenue, it would reduce the stagnant water that lays there. And I think it'd be much more productive for the lake. I've also, in my mind, thought about a couple aerators or fountains out there so that, oxygenation of the water and just keeping it moving a little bit. All of this is predicated on the assumption that some amount of silt has accumulated further in the lake since we did the bathymetry 7 or 8 years ago. So before, or as part of this, what I would suggest is we take a look at that early on. If the borough doesn't have money to authorize anything else, I think the bathymetry is a very minimal cost. And that would be where somebody gets out on the lake with a boat, 2 people with GPS and a measuring stick, and they'll actually move around the area of the lake and measure down, and then we'll plot it up. And we'll know better what the true top of the elevation of the silt is.
You have a cost on it?
I didn't break it out, but I can certainly provide it to you. It's not a huge number as I remember. It's like a few $1,000s, but
$1,000.
yeah.
Under 10.
Oh, well under. No, it's not even near that.
Then we can do that, because that would definitely tell us how far we can go.
And it would be very helpful in helping you make a determination of how you'd like to proceed, what sections you'd like to do, and how you'd like to see that happen. So that is the biggest part of this, in my mind, is just getting that. So if people see somebody out there on it, if we could authorize 1 or 2 people will be out in the boat, taking measurements down, navigating the boat, the other person taking measurements down and using handheld GPS to locate those. And then that all gets plotted, and we're able to come up with a new topographic layout of the top of the silt. Helps us better determine what areas, how far we could go with the money that we have. If in the meantime you wanted to reach out to the county and see if there would be a chance of them taking it, we have all the testing of the soil. They've asked for it once before when that was questioned, and we'd be happy to provide it to them again. So I think those are the 2 steps that would be worth pursuing right now in order to get more information and help determine how many yards you might be able to take. If that worked out for the borough, might be able to do more of the lake rather than trucking it and treating it.
Is it feasible that we can start this project maybe January, February?
I spoke to a contractor about that, and he didn't advise that, Mr. Mayor, because he said that in the winter, the soil will not drain, and therefore you'll be paying to cart wet soil, and you'll be paying by the ton for that. So in his mind, and he's somebody who's done dredging on a couple other projects for one of our other offices, he thought from his approach it'd be a June, July, August project.
Really?
Yes, that's what, I did ask the question.
Yeah, I would have thought the winter would be the better choice because there's less use, number one. Ground's a lot more solid and a lot easier to dig out.
And I agree, I thought that as well, but I did pose the question. So, I mean, he's only one contractor. I can't say how others would treat it, Mr. Mayor, but that's what he told me.
If the county were to take the dredge, would it matter at that point if it's a little bit water laden?
Depends how much, I guess, because again, I don't know if they're going to charge it, or if you're going to have a minimal tipping charge, or how that will work.
If they're charging by
the ton.
yards,
Right.
yards of material.
Could you move the mic closer to you?
Oh, I thought you meant
I
me.
can't hear you. Move the mic closer to you.
What I was asking was, can you hear me now?
No.
How about now?
No.
What I was asking was, since there's some conversation about the county possibly taking the dredge, I questioned whether or not the county would accept it based on just cubic yards, or would they still charge us a tipping fee based on the tonnage? Because what he said, the tonnage, wet tonnage, obviously going to cost more money. But if they're going to accept it just based on the cubic yards, it wouldn't matter wet or dry at that point. That was my question.
Okay.
I think it's a very good point. I don't know how they would handle it, so that's why I think that investigation, as well as the bathymetry, would be wise to help you make decisions on which way you'd like to go. There could also be constraints from them as to how much they could take in a day if they're using it for cover, so that might limit or extend the project time. Those are all things I think that should be discussed before we just rush into it, and, but...
Well, I don't think we're rushing into it after
Well,
years.
I meant just rush into a decision about it, that was all. I apologize.
There's no chance of losing the grant at this point, right?
They told us we're good for 2 years, if I remember, Mayor?
2 years. But we don't want to wait 2 years.
Nope, no, that's just what the agreement was good for. And we could, always renew that, so.
Yes, they did say we can come back again to...
Yes, we can.
Yep.
To our second phase.
So Bruce, I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I'd rather keep it at the 8-foot mark. There you go, my little lever.
That's why he wants it 8 feet.
Right, that's what I fall, I got deeper to fall into. But also, is there any, if the whole lake is 8 foot, is there anything proposed about a channel in the middle of it or anything?
There is a natural channel in the middle, and if you look when you're out there, you could kind of see where it goes.
Do you know the depth of that by any chance?
Pardon?
Do we know how deep that is?
I would have to check our topography. I'm not sure if this map reflects that, but I can ask them when they go out there if they can get in the
I'm
channel.
only thinking if the channel's 8 feet and we make everything else 8 feet, should that be a little deeper?
Yeah, there's got to be a natural bottom to this lake because it was man-made, so we believe it's around 8 feet.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Anyone else have any comments or questions? All right, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a set of minutes of the caucus meeting from September 16, 2019. Take a motion to pass those minutes.
Make a motion to move those. Second.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Yes.
Another set of minutes from the regular meeting of September 16, 2019.
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
Second it.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Yes.
We have a bond ordinance on first reading. Bond ordinance 2019-11. Public hearing is set for October 21st, 2019.
Make a motion to pass this ordinance on first reading, advertise according to law, and set a public hearing for October 21st, 2019.
Second.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Yes.
We have another ordinance on first reading, ordinance 2019-12. Public hearing is also set for October 21st, 2019.
Make a motion to pass this ordinance on first reading, advertise according to law, and set a public hearing for October 21st, 2019.
Second.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Yes.
Council President and council members, I'll take a motion to accept the resolutions on the consent agenda, resolutions 2019-127 through 2019-136.
Make a motion, we move the consent agenda?
Second.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Council President Spacuzzo?
Yes. Any comments from the council? John?
Yeah, I got something over here. What the heck? Okay, Yom Kippur, October 9th. Columbus Day is October the 14th. Christopher is coming back. And then the library meeting on Main Street there, the Spotswood Library, it's a meeting on the October the 17th, 7 o'clock down there. So that's what I got right now.
Thank you, John. Larry?
I have nothing.
Jose?
We're going to be starting CERTing training. Anybody that wants to join. My email address is the borough's address, jrivera@spotswoodborough.com. I need to find out within 2 weeks. Old Bridge is running a course, and they asked if I would have sent some guys over there. So if anybody that wants...
Training for, I didn't hear it.
Sir. So Citizens Emergency Response.
Okay.
Community Emergency Response Team.
We already have 25 already in town. So anybody that wants to go and train, please email me with your information so I can submit it and you could be part of the team. I could use all the help in the winter, you know, and storms and everything like that, running EOC and all that. Okay, somebody's giving me a thumbs up already.
Ringing their bell.
So, again, you can email me at jrivera@spotswoodborough.com. All right?
Okay.
In the years I've been on this council, every year we've had a mayor council pancake breakfast, and I just wanted to see if we're going to continue to do that going forward, because nothing's really come up with it this year. Not sure if it fell through the cracks or not, but I just want to make sure that everybody still wants to go and, have the breakfast. It's just where we can get started.
Don't look at the mayor, the council don't do it.
It's called mayor council.
How many mayors you seen at it? One.
But that's why we're looking at you, because I'd like to see the tradition continue.
I think it's
been.
been-
Everybody.
If you want to bring that tradition back, you're probably going to have to shoot for probably the first or second week in November, advertising wise, because the weekend before Halloween's out of the question now. It's only 2 weeks away.
That's fine.
Let's get together and talk about it.
Right, we'll pick a date that works for all of us.
That does benefit the cup pantry.
It does, that's why.
Yeah, and I think it was a good time every time we went, so. Thank you for reminding us, Ted. Thanks for chairing that committee, Ted.
Jackie, you coming to make pancakes? Moving along.
I'll let you know what weekend works.
Okay. We never
Yes.
say no to people.
Anyone who wants to volunteer,
What's that? I haven't got a clue, I know how to eat them. Jackie makes good pancakes.
Women are making pancakes.
Jackie did a good job, I made eggs last year.
I can make pancakes. She knows.
well, my son's telling me so can I, so he likes the ones I make, so.
Somebody ready to decide who's cooking the eggs.
You're all right cooking eggs last year, right?
Has to cook bacon.
I surrender.
Right, Ed cooks all the meat.
The bacon.
All right, we have some proclamations before. You mind us doing that first, then go to you, or you like to go to comments?
Proclamations.
John, you want to start us off?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. October is Breast Cancer Month, awareness month. Whereas the more than 268,000 women and approximately 2,600 men are diagnosed with breast cancer in the United States annually. And while deaths have been decreased over time, and breast cancer remains the second most common form of cancer and the second leading cause of cancer deaths. Overall, among American women, with staggering 41,000 lives lost each year. And whereas since early detection as regular screenings, mammograms, followed by timely treatments upon diagnosis, can significantly improve patients' chance of survival, it is strongly recommended that the Americans, especially those who have a family history or may be increased risk, consult with their health care providers about the individual likelihood developing breast cancer. And whereas during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we're honored to encourage and strengthen the over 3.1 million Americans who are battling this terrible disease. And remember, loved ones, those lives have been lost. And we commend the skilled and medical professionals and dedicated researchers who provide quality treatments and care to women and men across the country. Now, therefore, I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with the governing body, to proclaim October to be National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the Borough of Spotswood, and encourage all our citizens to support and encourage those who suffer and offer comfort and compassion to those who have lost loved ones to breast cancer. Dated October 7, 2019. I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of Spotswood Borough. That's it.
Thank you, John. Larry?
National Crime Prevention Month. Whereas the vitality of our borough depends upon how safe we keep our homes, neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and communities, And whereas crime and fear of crime destroy our trust in others and in civic institutions, threatening the community's health, prosperity, and quality of life. And whereas people of all ages must be made aware of what they can do to prevent themselves and their families, neighbors, and co-workers from being harmed by crime. And whereas people of all ages must be made aware of the dangers of technology, crime, and how they can protect themselves from becoming victims. And whereas the personal injury, financial loss, and community deterioration resulting from crimes are intolerable and require investment from the whole community. And whereas crime prevention initiatives must include self-protection and security, but they must go beyond these to promote collaborative efforts to make neighborhoods safer for all ages and to develop positive opportunities for young people. And whereas adults must invest time, resources, and policy support in effective prevention and intervention strategies for youth, and teens must be engaged in driving crime from their communities. And whereas effective crime prevention programs excel because of partnerships among law enforcement, other government agencies, civic groups, schools, faith communities, businesses, and individuals as they help nurture communal responsibility and install pride. Now, therefore, I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with our governing body, do hereby proclaim October to be National Crime Prevention Month in the Borough of Spotswood, and urge all citizens, public and private institutions, and businesses to invest in the power of prevention and work together alongside our excellent police department, led by Dr. Michael Zarrow, Chief of Police, to make Spotswood a safer, stronger, more caring community. Dated October 7th, 2019.
Thank you, Larry. Whereas every year millions of expected parents the world over faces either miscarriage or fatal parental diagnosis that results in death of their child prior to or just after birth. The tragedy is such that in 1988, President Ronald Reagan designated the month of October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. In 2002, October 15th was established as National Day of Remembrance and is marked with candlelight visuals and other observances. Whereas stillbirth occurs in families of all race, ethnicities, and income levels, and to women of all ages, the causes of many stillbirths are unknown. There are, however, things that women can do before and during pregnancy to increase her chance of having a healthy baby, such as keeping medical conditions such as high blood pressure and diabetes under control before and during pregnancy, avoiding smoking during pregnancy, and striving to reach and maintain a healthy weight before pregnancy. Whereas while organizations such as the CDC continue to learn more about stillbirths, there is a great deal of work to be done and many challenges that need to be addressed. For example, stillbirth is not often viewed as a public health issue, so increased awareness is key. Additionally, there is a need for increased training for healthcare providers in the use of stillbirth evaluating guidelines, providing access to grief counseling, and discussing with families why a stillbirth evaluation is vital. Improving the ability to track and prevent stillbirth is an important public health issue that requires continuous commitment. Now, therefore, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with the governing body, do hereby proclaim October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in the Borough of Spotswood. I further proclaim October 15th to be Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day and honor the memory of Spencer Michael, Haslich.
That's like it.
I call on all residents of the Borough of Spotswood to recognize and support bereaved families who have suffered this devastating loss and remember the value of the lives of their babies, lives that were too tragically brief. Dated October 7th, 2019.
whereas domestic... Nobody? Better. Whereas domestic violence poisons relationships, destroys lives, and shatters families, eroding home environments that should be places of comfort and stability, and leaving many Americans in potentially life-threatening situations. And whereas domestic violence affects Americans regardless of income, race, gender, and socioeconomic status, though women make up a disproportionately high number of victims of domestic violence, with nearly half of female homicide victims killed by a current or former male partner. And whereas each of us has a responsibility to speak out against these crimes and make every effort to prevent such tragedies from occurring, working together to ensure that those who have suffered in the hands of abusers receive the needed care and support, and protecting potential victims from all forms of abuse, be it physical, psychological, or emotional. And whereas there are resources available to the county, the state, and the federal government to help survivors of domestic violence rebuild safe, stable, and self-sufficient lives, as well as training healthcare providers to assist those who have suffered from domestic violence. And whereas this month we strengthen our resolve to ensure homes are a place of refuge, comfort, and protection, and not places of fear and abuse, we renew our commitment to support and protect victims, hold perpetrators accountable, and prevent violence before it starts, striving to eliminate domestic violence in all its horrific forms in order to sustain the hope of a better life for victims and to foster safe homes and relationships for all people. Now, therefore, Ed Seeley, Mayor of the Borough of Spotswood, together with the governing body, do hereby proclaim October to be National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we call upon our citizens to stand firm in condemning domestic violence and supporting survivors of these crimes in finding the safety and recovery they need. We also call upon our citizens to support, recognize, and trust in the efforts of law enforcement and public health and social services providers to hold offenders accountable, protect victims of crime in their communities, and to prevent future violence. Dated October 7, 2019. Thanks.
Things for fire protection. There's not every hero wears a cape. Plan and escape and practice and escape. Whereas the Borough of Spotswood is committed to ensure the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Spotswood. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are in the location where people are the greatest risk of fires. And whereas home fires kill 2,630 people in the United States in 2017. According to the National Fire Protection, the JHSC, and the fire department in the United States respond to 357,000 home fires, which is where the majority of U.S. fire deaths, 4 out of 5, occur each year. Whereas fire deaths are rated, 1,000 homes fires report to the U.S. Fire Department was 4% higher in 2017 than in 1980. And whereas when a smoke alarm sounds, Spotswood residents have less than 2 minutes to escape to safety. And whereas Spotswood residents who have planned practice a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Whereas Spotswood residents should make home escape plans, drawing maps of each level of their home, show all doors and windows, and whereas Spotswood residents who have planned and practiced home fire escapes plans are more prepared and willing, therefore more likely to survive a fire. And whereas residents should practice a home fire practice plan with everybody in the household, including visitors, and should practice the home fire escape drill at least twice a year, during the day and at night, also teaching their children to escape on their own in case adults can't help them. And whereas Spotswood residents should make sure everyone in their home knows how to call 911 or a local emergency number from their cell phone or neighbor's phone. And whereas in 2019 Fire Prevention Week theme, not every hero wears a cape. Plan and practice your escape. Officially is safe serve to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase the safety from fire. Now, therefore, I, Ed Seeley, Mayor of Borough Spotswood, do hereby proclaim October 6th to the 12th, 2019 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this community, and together with the governing body and behalf of our residents, offer heartfelt appreciation for the protection of our volunteer firefighters led by Chief Kevin Mead and also the fire official John Cossack. I urge all people from Spotswood to be aware of their surroundings. Look for available ways out in the event of a fire or other emergency response when the smoke alarm sounds by exiting the building immediately, and to support many public safety activities and efforts in the Spotswood Fire and Emergency Service during Fire Prevention Week 2019, dated October 7th.
Thank you, everybody. Mr. Mayor, comments?
Councilman John, am I stealing your glory, John? Did you talk about the Friends of Fall Festival? Okay. Saturday, October 19th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. The Friends of the Spotswood Public Library at 548 Main Street, Spotswood, New Jersey, will be having a fall festival. They'll have pumpkin decorating at $5 a pumpkin, a photo booth, crafts, touch a truck, and more fun. If you're not doing nothing that day, stop on by. Myself, I'll probably get there after work around 3, see what's going on. And before we go right into open public, I have in my hand 2 articles recently released by the Asbury Park Press. One was from Senate President Steve Sweeney and Senator Linda Greenstein, the woman who helped us in our last venture and has continued to help us, and from Senator Troy Singleton. Both of them deal with New Jersey water infrastructure. The topic is out of sight, out of mind, no more. As you all know, Newark waited a little too long with the problems they have, and they're really faced with a super water crisis up there, and they'll probably be relying on someone else's water for a while, especially with the lead content they have. We never want to be in that situation since we pump our own water, and that is one of the main reasons we do spend money. There's a lot of money, yes it is, but unfortunately, years of not doing something sooner or later catch up to you. I just want to make that clear. If anybody wants this article, they're sure to have it. If you want to look it up, it's in the Asbury Park Press. That's all I got today.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Don't forget, we also have the Halloween trunk treat.
Right, trunk or treat would be on Halloween. I think it starts at 6 o'clock at Spotswood High School. If anyone's interested in going. No other comments from council or mayor? I'll make a motion.
The thing is, I would like to thank Linda for help on with the lakes and everything like that. It was a lot helpful, and also, just like that, everybody knows we could apply again for a grant second time. So once we get done with this phase, we could apply again for another grant. So again, we could do this in phases.
Considering we didn't apply for the first one, they just awarded us $2.5 million because of Senator Greenstein.
And thank you to Mayor Seeley and Councilman Rivera for, I know they both, I believe, took off of work to meet with Senator. So
Part of the job, my friend, part of the job.
thank you guys also for taking the time to do that for us. If there's nothing else, what was that? I'll make a motion to open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. At this time, we'll take comments from the public on any new business.
Lillian Janesco, 294 Woods End Court. As a liaison from the Clearwater Residents Association, I really wanted to advise you that the organization is making a donation of $200 to the DARE program so that I understand that DARE people buy Christmas presents for the children at the St. Peter's Hospital. The other one is that we are making $300 donation to the food bank. In our monthly meetings, the residents have donated 20 to 40 pounds of non-perishable food. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you.
Cheryl Bass, 289 Main Street. Two comments. The mayor was talking about water and Newark and the problems with Newark. I didn't mention Detroit. And from what I understand, I'm not a beer drinker, but water is the most important ingredient in beer. And Newark used to have a beer manufacturer in Newark manufacturing beer. So
I believe they're still there, Cheryl.
Oh, they are? Okay, okay.
It's still there.
Okay.
Anheuser-Busch.
Okay, okay. I'm not a beer drinker, so I'm not up to date on all of that.
Way back.
But I think I am correct. Water is a very important ingredient in the making of beer.
Well, that'd be great with our water supply coming. If one of those companies would like to have a brewery here in town, we'd welcome it.
Oh, okay. Okay, I brought up the right topic. Yeah.
Where the Brown House is.
And we are very much in proximity to New York City. People take the bus, take the train, go into New York City. A lot of people work there, and we commute on a daily basis to New York City. Thank you for the National Crime Prevention Month declaration, because the mayor in the city of New York does not come out in favor of law enforcement, and I want to thank you for proclaiming our chief of police, Michael Zarrow, and talking about crime prevention and what is needed. This is a very important thing. Thank you very much for making the proclamation on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Eileen Chella, 12 Janice Drive. Talking about crime prevention, I live off Old Stage Road, and recently having issue with overweight trucks traveling on Old Stage Road. We have a 4-ton limit on Old Stage Road, and lately 18-wheelers, dump trucks, and for some reason Solterra garbage trucks think that they own that road. Most of the trucks that are traveling in the direction from Summerhill to Main Street, and on both ends of the road from Helmetta all the way through, there is a 4-ton weight restriction sign. So they are definitely violating that. The trucks all exceed the posted speed limit. Speed limits are rated in some of the corners for 25 miles an hour. Unfortunately, Spotswood does not have that speed limit. On the side approaching Summerhill Road from East Brunswick, it says reduce speed ahead with no speed limit. So it's a suggestion that you reduce the speed from 40, and then it drops again to 35 miles an hour by the church. So these trucks are barreling through on Old Stage Road all day.
And all hours of the night.
And all hours of the night. And the only reason I know is because I'm on that corner and my house is bouncing. It's a residential neighborhood. There are children in that area. There are children who walk from the Memorial School. Some of them walk from Appleby because we don't have buses. And they're on those streets. And they're on those streets with those trucks. And it's dangerous. And I mean, I know 40 miles an hour is the Spotswood limit. I don't know why East Brunswick is 25 miles an hour. They're 25 miles an hour from Biernacki, from Frost Woods. We have 40, 35. We have reduced speed. I reduce it. I come down from 40 to 39. I mean, I'm being funny, but when you have reduced speed and then there's no speed limit indicated, that's a variable. but it's becoming an issue, and it never was. This is something that's really coming up to be a problem, and it's the more warehouses that are opened in Monroe and Cranberry, the more tractor trailers are coming onto Old Stage Road, and I mean, they're really moving. They're really, so we're talking about safety. I'm waiting someday to have a tractor trailer sitting in my front yard, you know, because it's hard enough to get out of my street, but to have a tractor trailer aiming for you, it's kind of disconcerting. So I hope there's something we can do about that.
We've had residents in the past bring that to our attention, and we've spoken to the chief of police. I will reach out to him again and ask him. If you could reach out also.
Okay.
His number and extension is on the borough website. If you need it, I can give it to you after the meeting.
I mean, I know we have that nice little speed sign. Can we move that into that area so that?
We could suggest it.
Because, I mean, I've been living there for 22 years. It is a residential area, and I stopped doing my yard work over there, and I got lawn maintenance to come in because they used to aim at me. You know, they would see me over there, and you would like, whoops. So, I mean, I know it's a busy street, and it's getting busier, and I'm really afraid a lot of the trucks are going to the construction that's now in East Brunswick on Main Street, and I'm just terrified as to what's going to happen on the corner. Once they start with that building, what kind of trucks are going to be up and down. Even though we were told at all the meetings we went to that they will not be using that street, I'm threatening to go out with my hairdryer like that woman does in northern Jersey, and I have a security camera. I can put one out there and I can kind of catch everybody because it is a public road, but it's going to become an issue some point that someone's going to get seriously hurt.
Like I said, I will reach out to the chief.
Okay.
A lot of those dump trucks are coming out from PSE&G's work that they're doing.
Coming from where?
PSE&G's work?
No, because they're just way too fast. I mean, when they hit that green light, when that light is green, they are flying. I have whirlwinds of paper just coursing around. I mean, they're not just doing 35 or 40. They've been moving down Old Stage Road, and it's primarily coming from the Helmetta side. The other side, not so much. So I don't know where they go. They don't always come back, but they're on their way down there. So.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Like I said, the chief's phone number is on the website, but if you need it, I can provide it to you also.
I've been in touch with them.
Okay, thank you. Colleen, thank you for waiting.
Oh, no problem. Good evening again, Colleen Ronco, Manalapan Road. Couple of things. What's the situation with the house on Main Street? Where do we stand with that?
I know we had the engineer over there looking at it.
We had the engineer over there, supposed to come back clean.
Okay, has anybody bothered to call the listing agent? Because I did a little bit of research, and apparently the house is sold twice, once in April of 2017, and most recently December of 2018, with stipulations, and both times the deal fell through because of those stipulations.
But I do want to make you aware that there are stipulations in our purchase as well. Should there be anything recovered, bank-wise, it becomes the responsibility of the seller, not me.
Okay, but my concern is that did anybody bother to call the listing agent and actually ask them what was in those stipulations and why those deals fell through?
Wouldn't it be interesting to know that?
I'll make the phone call. It's okay. We had your zoning officer come to our house last week. Apparently, there's an ordinance in town that states that you cannot have a political sign up prior to a certain time period. So we challenged him on that. And he went back to the attorney. I don't know if it was our attorney or the attorney in Sayreville, but he went back to the attorney, and the attorney said that if it's on private property, they can put up a sign whenever they want. So my sign is still there. He's a friend of ours. He asked if he could put the sign, and we put the sign there. My concern was that your zoning officer, A, was nasty, B, showed no identification, C, was in his own private car, and D, came after hours. So basically, he was driving by my house, saw the sign, and decided to stop. WIOPA requested how many summonses he's written in the last year, and would you be surprised to be told that he has not issued a single summons, but threatened me with a summons for a political sign? a little political sign, not a big political sign. I don't have a 6x6 sign on my front lawn. I have a little teeny tiny political sign that unless you're really looking, you're really not even going to notice unless you're stuck in the traffic between 4 and 6.
Right.
So, I don't know who sent him, I don't care who sent him, but I'm a little concerned with the fact that there seems to be this pattern of behavior that's now arising. First it was every OPE request myself or my husband submits immediately goes to the attorney. Nobody else's did. I have all the email logs proving that, because as soon as Dawn got her hands on them, boom, that was it, they were gone right to the attorney. So we're spending a fortune to try and stop us from getting paperwork that we're entitled to anyway. And that when I argue with you guys about, not you guys, I don't mean you guys in general, but when I argue with the attorneys or my attorney contacts them, we wind up getting the paperwork anyway. So we're over $10,000 at this point wasted between me having to sue to get the paperwork and the attorney having to look over every single solitary request. I could literally ask for a request for an invoice, for a JCP invoice, and it goes to the attorney. Every single solitary request. Nobody else's, because I've gone through every one of the 6,000 emails, and there is not a single other person whose request went through. Just mine. That's discriminatory. So now we got the zoning guy that pops at my house for no reason. We've got the OPE request that everything has to go over to there. And I'm going to bring this up. The renters here in town, I think we can all say that as a renter, you're paying taxes. You're not paying it directly to the town, but you're paying it in your rent. So whether you live in Clearwater or you live over on Crescent Avenue in the 55 and over community, or you live in one of the 3 or 4 apartment buildings in town, you're paying rent one way or another. You're paying it through your tax, through the rent itself. So you're paying taxes, you're paying for the maintenance, you're paying for your water, you're paying for all of that in rent. So there's nothing free. You're not getting anything for free. There was a comment passed that, and I quote, "I don't know why Ronco is concerned about taxes because she's a renter. Scumbag renter," was the exact quote. First of all, I don't rent my house, I own it. Bought it 2 years ago in April of 2017. I'm a little concerned that we're disparaging renters. We've got a lot of renters here in town. A lot of renters. I'm sure there's renters sitting behind me. Between Clearwater, Crescent Avenue, and the apartment buildings, Greens, Spotswood Gardens, whatever they are. I mean, these people rent, they pay taxes, they have just as much right and say as I do as a homeowner. So Ted and Ed, the next time you're going to pass a comment like that, at least have the balls to look me in the face and say it. Okay? Look me in the face. No, Ted, don't lie. 3 people came and told me. Look me in the face and say it. If you're going to call me a scumbag renter, then look me in the face.
Colleen,
Okay?
you made your point.
Thank you.
I have never said that.
Okay. It's amazing how 3 separate people, none of them know each other.
I don't concern myself with who rents and who owns.
Okay. My other question is, what is the situation, what's going on with Dawn? I understand that we're done with
It's
the
a
investigation.
personnel matter, that's potential litigation that we
Okay.
can't discuss.
All right, but we have a situation where we had an independent investigation that was being done, but yet the independent investigation was by an attorney who was friends with our labor attorney, who also worked with Dawn at one point. And it's my understanding that this report has now come back and that there's pretty much nothing in it, but yet there's all kinds of phone calls and letters that went back and forth between Mayor Sealy and Council President and the labor attorney and our attorney. So how independent could this investigation have been if everybody was calling everybody up on the phone to ask what was going on?
I'll come up and wait for the answer.
Jackie, you know what? I just said the answer.
Well, so I think the issue is that the games that go on and the residents aren't stupid, is what I want to say to you.
Nor do we
I
think they are.
I would hope not, but I would hope that the understanding is that when you authorized an independent, and correct me if I'm wrong, an independent investigator would mean that on their own, they're investigating a situation. Yes?
Yes?
Okay. That individual who's independent has been communicating directly with our labor attorney during her investigation of this. So that now negates anything that has gone on, in my book. In addition, I asked you this question last month, or last meeting. And I have experience in HR. I have a lot of human resources experience. I've dealt with lots of employees, lots of people, unions, the whole thing. If ever there was a question on somebody's human resources, right, on the situations that were happening in Spotswood, the very first people you might want to investigate and question are the last people who left the organization in a year's time. I know for a fact that not one person who has left Spotswood Borough was spoken to regarding why they may have left the borough under the human resources issues that were happening within the borough. So this investigation, regardless of what it may or may not say, to me is invalid, because you had an investigator who was not independent, who utilized the labor attorney. And I know, Charlie, that you tried to keep this as tight as you possibly could. I know you did. But you know what? It screams the most sickening corruption that I could ever imagine. And the fact that we will never know the truth of it, and that you can't ever talk about it, is the part that's most discerning to all of us, I think. Is that this just looks like you just blew $9,500 of our money to get for a joke. And the fact that this independent attorney was working directly with our labor attorney, not independently, is really what makes that $9,000 just stick it right to us. So we all kind of know what's going on, and everybody's watching. So I will say to each and every one of you, everyone's watching.
Steve Ronco. So I'm going to kind of bring back with that zoning officer that came. I sent you an email about it. You responded, you ignored it. So I wanted to file a complaint against the zoning officer. He came to my house, he was dressed in a shirt that said Sayreville zoning. Told me to remove my political sign in front of my house, which is on private property. Told me it can't be more than 30 days prior to the election. I told him it's my First Amendment protected right to put it up. He said that the government has a right to restrict when I put up signs, but there's a Supreme Court ruling, Gilbert versus, I forget the name of it, or Reed versus Township of Gilbert, which said that it negates all the different ordinances that are out there. I see that you guys have ordinances here. I sent you guys that email a while ago, but you're not taking out that ordinance that's been already ruled unconstitutional. He told me that he had an anonymous complaint. You can't do anonymous complaints. I open requested the complaints, there are none. So he was pretty much just driving around the neighborhood looking for different things, not in the code enforcement truck, which he's never signed out. And that mileage log is kind of ridiculous, because all it puts in there is mileage instead of who's taking it, what day, what time. There's really nothing to that log, because I asked for a log as well. I asked him to show me in the First Amendment where it states I can't put a political sign up. He said, oh, I'll go get the ordinance. Comes back, says, I don't have to show you anything. He parked on the side of Manalapan Road, which was pretty dangerous. And here's the pictures of it, where he's parked on the side of the road. Here's him in a Sayreville shirt, which I don't know why he's wearing a Sayreville shirt and driving around town issuing tickets. So supposedly his time is 4:15 to 5 p.m. Tuesday and Wednesdays, and there's no accountability, there's no sign-in, he doesn't do ordinance, he doesn't do summonses, because I asked for summonses from January 1st till October 4th. He doesn't write summonses. So you have a dilapidated house, no summonses issued. I asked for pictures that he's taken, so he's not driving around town taking pictures of different zoning infractions or whatever the case is. What's this guy do besides going around town trying to intimidate people? As a registered Democrat, I put up a Republican sign, and all of a sudden he shows up at my house within hours of putting it up. So I made a few phone calls that day. I called over to Sayreville. They said that it's not their issue because it's over here, yet he's got a Sayreville shirt on. So what is he enforcing? Is he enforcing other laws that became unconstitutional? Are we looking at the books? Are we not taking things out that are ruled unconstitutional? So he did call. He didn't do an apology. He also recorded that phone call. So I asked for all recorded phone calls that he's made. There was one, mine. So discrimination again. So anytime that you deal with us, you record phone calls, you do this, you do that, you send things to the attorneys, but nobody else gets that. So that is 100% discrimination textbook. So I told him he had a duty to bring it to the council to let them know that it's unconstitutional. He said he doesn't do that. That's not his problem. So now you have a liability issue that he's not letting anybody know that it was ruled unconstitutional and it needs to be taken off the books. I had to do that with the email. So that ordinance should be dissolved. It should have already been in the paperwork here. So he didn't do any of that. He didn't take pictures of anybody else's stuff. So next topic. So one of the OPA requests that I did was, it was right at the last meeting, I asked for the FEMA approvals, and I asked for DOT grants. You stated before that we had grants, and there was nothing responsive. Actually, it was said that it was a deficient request. So I asked for all FEMA approvals and all DOT grants issued or applications. The request was closed, even though supposedly it was, I guess, clarification, so they just closed it out. I responded the same day, and my request is very specific of what I wanted. To quote, a copy of all DOT grants issued or applications from 2013 to September 13th of 2019. You said we do it every year, but there's nothing responsive. That's a very specific request. And you guys cited all these different court cases. The court case to cite is actually Ronco versus Jackson. It's case law. So you're totally wrong on that. And my response is just totally ignored. I also asked for all FEMA approvals. Jose said he'll show me them, but my request was pretty much denied because nothing responsive. It's a deficient request, yet it's very specific for specific time frame, specific documents that you guys brought up last time. So I don't know what's going on here. So are we going to be removing that ordinance?
No, Steve, we're not.
So it's been ruled unconstitutional. Reed versus the Township of Gilbert, and you're refusing to remove that ordinance. So everybody that looks at that, when they look up on the code, is now violating their civil rights.
I'm not an attorney, Steve. I've said that in the past.
It's unconstitutional.
Steve, I have do you have a copy of the court case, the Supreme Court case?
I read it. I read the court case.
So, once again, this is only my interpretation, but Chief Justice Alito states, rules imposing time restrictions on sign advertising a one-time event. Rules of this nature do not discriminate based on topic or subject. Do not discriminate for time restraints.
That has nothing to do with time.
That's what our ordinance is. It's, you can have a sign, it doesn't matter what's on the content of that sign. The sign only could be up 30 days before the event and needs to come down 10 days after.
You can't do that. That's against the content. So if I could put up a sign that says, "I love God," you can't do anything about that, but I put up a political sign, it has to be a time constraint, you're totally wrong. Totally wrong. So I have a Dump Ed sign up, and I can have that up 100% all year long, and it's gonna stay up all year long. And now so is the other one, and I'm getting a bigger one, so that'll stay up even after the election. So I hope you guys give me a summons, because that court case already proves it. You can't restrict based on content.
We're not questioning the content, Steve. It's the timing.
I can have it up all year long. Can I have a sign up that says, "I love God," all year long?
I can't speak, I'm speaking to political signs and how I interpret it.
Content. There you go. You just proved my
It's a
point.
one-time event. That's what
You
it
just
is.
proved my point. So if I have a flag that says Trump 2020, you gonna give me a ticket for that? Because that's not for a long time.
Political signs defined as signs designated to influence the outcome of an election. That's right in the court case also.
Okay, so Trump 2020, you give me a
sign.
ticket for that?
If it's up within the 30 days of the election, no.
Oh my God. I want you to give me a ticket. Yeah, I want you to give me something.
With all due respect, I don't know why you're interpreting the law. That's what we have attorneys for, okay? So I don't know why you're interpreting it in any way, shape, or form, okay? We actually called an attorney. The code enforcer actually went to the attorney and came back and told us he's not issuing us a summons because you can't do that. You have to read the entire court case, and you have to speak to an attorney. That's what we have attorneys for. So I don't know why, I don't understand why it is that everybody here is going to continue to challenge us, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The same thing that happened in Helmetta. I'm going to go to my attorney, we're going to get a lawsuit together, and I'm going to go after the town for discrimination, just like I did in Helmetta. And they just settled that lawsuit. So I would seriously think about what you're doing before you decide you're going to keep on challenging us and keep sending these people to our homes. I'm not going to tolerate it. The next time the guy comes onto my property, I'm going to physically remove him myself. That's my property. I own it. I own it. I own it. Keep challenging.
Diane Charlesworth, Old Stage Road. Sometimes I'm a bit dense, so I'm going to ask you to explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. The private personnel matter, we're never going to know whether she's been terminated or reinstated? Is that what you're saying? Because it's a private personnel matter?
At this time, it's a private personnel potential litigation matter.
So the litigation...
So we can't discuss it.
The litigation could go on ad nauseum, and we still would not have an answer.
Possibly.
And she'd still be being paid. She'd still be paid, correct?
We can't discuss it.
Correct? She's being paid now, so that would
Paid
continue.
administrative leave. We don't know. We don't know.
Over-requested.
Wow.
Just over-requested.
I don't even touch something anymore. Because that would just disgust me. So I know we have ordinances that says you have to keep your property up nice and neat, because the guy at the end of my block, before they fixed the house, got fined. The bank did. The bank owned the house. They didn't cut the grass. Who issues that ordinance? Is that the zoning officer?
I believe so, yes.
And she said that there's been no summonses issued, so the Brown House has never been issued a summons for the way they've kept that property?
I don't know, Dulcie.
Because
If Colleen Oprah requested and it came back no, then apparently not.
guys, someone needs to figure out what the hell's going on in this building. Because the guy at the end of my block, he got a summons probably like 3 years ago for not cutting the grass. The grass was like 3 inches tall, and the neighbor next door complained because of the mosquitoes. So the way that building looks, and I know people have come to this council to complain about the way the building looked, the fact that nobody has looked into that and sent the zoning officer there, and if the zoning officer is driving down Manalapan in Maine, he saw it. You need a new zoning officer, because obviously they're not doing their job, and whoever is supervising the zoning officer is not doing their job. Because there is plenty of money to be made out in this borough if they would drive around and actually issue tickets for properties not being kept up. Brown House is number one.
Anyone else? Make a motion to close the public portion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do have a closed session this evening.
See you there.
You had to announce that in the beginning.
It's the end of that.
I'm sorry, Steve, what'd you say?
You had to announce that in the beginning, and you had to tell what the closed session's about.
It's potential litigation.
You had to announce that in the beginning. You can't have a closed session.
That.
It's on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda, you can't have it.
It's on the agenda, isn't it?
It is.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda.
You didn't discuss it in the beginning.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah,
You can have a closed session.
we're good? Okay. Alyssa, can you read the?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Borough of Spotswood, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of any action upon the hereinafter specified subject matters. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows: litigation and potential litigation. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public when confidentiality is no longer required. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Make a motion to accept the resolution?
Second.
Councilman Ritchie?
Yes.
Councilman Rivera?
Yes.
Councilman Malillo?
Yeah.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Council President Spifuzzo?
Yes. This time, we're going to go to closed session. There'll be no action taken.
No.
No action taken, so we request that everyone step out, please.
Does the meeting continue afterwards or no? It's done?
We'll open, but just to adjourn.
Goodbye.
Good night. Good night, Cheryl. Cheryl, call me. I'll get you that information.
Enough time, I have to go to bed.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll get you that information you're asking for if you'd like.